I don't know about you, but I personally love when I can figure out a way to help my brain stay focused and I can use little hacks or apps that help me accomplish the goals that I set out to achieve. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode and what we're going to focus on because I want to share 4 apps that I have on my phone that help me maintain consistent habits or routines so that I can actually do the things that I want to do. So I want to share those with you today, and I hope you enjoy. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. So a lot of times on this podcast, especially, we talk about trying to stay off of our phones and social media and all the things. However, it is very handy when you can utilize your phone or computer or whatever it is in a way that is not distracting you from what you're trying to accomplish throughout the day. So I want to share these with you because they are things that have helped me personally, and I feel like they're worth sharing. So there's no, affiliates. There's nothing like that I'm connected to on these. I just honestly just share them because they're something that I use and I think that they have helped me and hopefully they will help you too. So the first one before I actually go into those, I just want to mention that I currently have an iPhone, but I think these work for any smartphone. The whole iPhone conversation is a whole nother topic. Like, I had a Samsung for years and I loved it. And people always said, get an iPhone, get an iPhone. And I ended up switching, and my husband did not. And when I switched to an iPhone, I was so frustrated and I felt so old. I'm like, I can't figure this stupid thing out. And it's just not as like intuitive. I actually had to Google how to shut it off because you don't have a power button. You have to like hold in 2 different buttons for the power off screen to come up. And I didn't realize that. And it just seems to have a lot of like little quirks like that. So I have been asked, like, do you love your iPhone? And I've had it for probably a year now, and I think I figured it out and all that stuff. So I'm not dealing with that anymore. But I have been asked if I would go back to a Samsung, and I'm like, I think I would on my next phone. I don't think I'll get an iPhone again. And I just, like, I'm on that boat. So if you want to argue with me, you absolutely can. Or try and convince me that iPhones are better, but that is what I'm working with right now. I don't necessarily say I would recommend an iPhone. However, that's what we're using. But I do think that all 4 of these can be used on any type of phone. I did look on my husband's and they did come up on there. I don't know if they look the exact same when you download it, but you can at least try it and see if you like it. And if you don't, then just scrap it and ignore the fact that I told you to get it. So, number 1 is color widgets. And this one, like when you look up in the App Store color widgets, you're going to find a ton of them. The one that I'm specifically talking about is by MM Apps Inc. And that one is so helpful because basically it's kind of one of those fun apps where you can theme your whole phone and your screen and you can do different backgrounds and widgets and icon colors and things like that. And it can be really distracting if you focus on, switching up your phone all the time, all that stuff. But what I really like about this is that when I clear off, I actually have a previous episode where it's about organizing my phone. And in there, I have cleared off all of my apps. I have it very, very simple on my home screen. And then I changed all of my icons to a neutral color. They were black at the time of that episode. And if I even look at my apps right now, they're gray right now. So I made them even more boring. Um, but that is what I did with this app because I can do my whole theme. I can make it pretty. I can make it super simple, and it moves all my apps off, and I don't have those colors pointing out at me so bright and catching my attention where I click on them without thinking about it. It just helps me to kind of retrain my brain and give me a little pause to really think about what I'm clicking on. So it's not just an automatic habit, and then I get stuck in this scroll of just looking on at stuff on my phone. So that one has helped me for the prettiness of it and having a really nice looking phone screen, but then also just being able to actually focus when I'm on my phone and not spending more time than I need to. So that one has really helped me. Number 2 is called Day Stamp. And this one is the Day Stamp Habit Tracker by H. Bull. And that's Hbull all together. There's no spaces in there. It's Hbull, Day Stamp Habit Tracker. This one they do have a paid version, but you can do a free version. And I will say that when you're setting it up initially, well, before I go into that, basically what it is a little widget that you can put on your home screen, and you can decide what your habits are that you want to like keep track of either throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever it is. And you decide what you're tracking and kind of does this little checklist. You could do all sorts of different things. You could do, a water goal for the day. If you are tracking how often you can get a morning routine in, maybe it's how often you're working out. Maybe it's how often you are, hitting your protein goal for the day. Maybe it is using your work block and actually sitting down to a work block. Whatever it is, whatever you are tracking as the habits you want to be tracking, you can use this widget to actually like kind of check them off at the end of the day to really check in with yourself or throughout the day. And what I really love about it is you can click on it and you can look at just a day at a time. You can look at a week at a time. It's color coded. So you can actually like pull up a report and it will take you back through months of history. And you can start to see the trends of what you're actually staying on task with. So obviously, if you don't meet the goal, then you don't check it off. But if your water goal, say, is you have a 25-ounce bottle and your water goal is 100 ounces a day, you can set it up that you have a water goal and it's 4 25-ounce bottles. So then every time you drink a 25-ounce bottle, you click it and it will, bring a quarter of that circle closed. And you just have to click it 4 times throughout the day, and then your entire circle will be closed. And that one will shade out saying that it's completed for the day. Or you can do it as a one-time thing. Like I have on mine is the gym. So when I go to the gym, I can click on that and it immediately will check it off saying that I did it for the day. And I can look back on this when I'm doing my end of the week planning, when I'm doing my end of the month planning, my annual goals in my planner, all of those things. I can look back and I can see all of the colors in my day stamp tracker. My gym is orange. So I can look back on that sheet on the reports and all of the orange dots across the whole week or month or year or whatever it is, all of the orange dots are the days I actually went to the gym. So it's a really cool, simple way to track those habits, especially if you're trying to get in a routine of doing certain things so they don't, fall away and you don't lose track of them. So if you're trying to get your 5 foundational routines set up, that is an awesome way of doing it. So you could put in that you want to complete your morning routine, your daily 7 home routine, your meal planning routine, your movement routine, and your budget routine. Put those in there and just see how consistent you are about keeping up with those. So that is a really fun way of doing it. So as I was talking about before though, just to mention, if you do the free version, which is totally fine, it works really well. If you do the free version, there is like a little ad that plays as you're setting them up, and you are limited to how many things you can track. So just be aware of that. I want to say it might be like 5 or 6 things that you can track. But if you are setting it up, you're going to have to watch like a little ad each time you set a new habit up. So it does take a little bit of time. But once you do that, then you don't have to watch any more ads. or you can just pay for the free version and then you get access to do whatever you want to do. Or I'm sorry, you can pay for the pro version or premium or whatever it's called. But the free version works really well. And I would start with that if you are not sure if you're going to actually use it or if you just want to track a couple of things. It just works really well. And I definitely stay on top of my goals much better if I am actually using my widget to keep track. And I just like that it's color coded so I can do the colors that are actually in my paper planner when I'm planning things out if it's associated with one of those habits. And it just makes it really fun and it stays connected that way. And I obviously have my phone with me quite often so I can keep track of those things. And it makes it a little bit easier to update my planner when I'm looking back rather than trying to mentally remember when I did those things. And then number 3, I have talked about this one many times before. It is Google Keep. And this app is part of the whole Google system. So if you have a Gmail account, you can get this app for free. It is so nice for so many reasons. I usually talk about it being my grocery list app. And you can make a template and then you can just duplicate that template. So you have a shopping list, or you can just start a new one from scratch and you have check boxes. And when you click one, it will cross it off and drop it to the bottom of the list. So it makes it super easy. You can drag and drop those different items so you can really sort your grocery lists really easily. But I also like it because it has a function where it's just like a notes app of all different kinds where you can name different note pages. So you don't have to always use the same one. So I actually have some in my phone that are tracking gift ideas. So, if I have any conversations with somebody and they mention that they want something or that they're interested in something, and I think that it might be a good gift idea, I will actually go into my app and plug it in there so that when it comes time to buying somebody a gift, I can literally just search my notes, gifts, and my gift note will come up and I can just look under that person's name and see all those gift ideas so I don't have to just start thinking from scratch or buy something that I don't think that they are interested in, or because I already have a list of everything that I know that they're interested in. Some of the other things, let me take a look here and pull up my app right now and see what else I have in here. So I have date ideas in here as well. Every time I think of something or we find a website of anything local that we are interested in, we plug them in there. Anytime I have an episode idea that isn't part of my like planning, if I'm not working, I don't want to go into all of my work documents and figure all that out. So I'll just do a quick idea for any episodes if I have them. I also have a list of things that I want to try, like different beauty products that I come across that I might want to try in the future. And that is something that just kind of collects where I don't necessarily want to buy it right away or add it to a cart right away. I just plug it in here. And most of the time I end up forgetting about it anyway, but I do have a list of things to try if I'm ever looking for specific brands that I had heard about. One of the other things that I have in here is things to do in our area that aren't necessarily date ideas, but they're different places to go or different campgrounds around our area that we could visit at some point or with other people. That is also something in here. So I just have a ton of stuff in here. One of the last things that I'm looking at right now is a karaoke list. In our family, certain times people really get in the mood to sing karaoke, and it's really nice just having a list of songs that I know that other people like and I like listening to. So it's like, maybe we'll try that at some point. I'm not a big singer. I used to be, not so much anymore, but it is nice to have those songs on hand when we do karaoke because then we're not trying to think off the top of our heads at that time. So those are just some of the ideas of what I have in that app. And what is really cool is I really like that it has a search function. So if you are looking for a specific note or list, you can just search that keyword and it will pop up all of the different options that you have in there. And you can just click on the note that you're looking for. And it makes it super easy and you can organize them. And then when you do create a new note, you have a lot of different options. So I really like the checkbox option for things like the grocery lists, but you also have the option to draw or plug in images. And you also have a voice message option where you can actually record your voice if you want to do the speech to text and have it write for you rather than typing everything out. There's just a lot of different options. And then you can also like download your list and either send it to somebody or you can add a collaborator. So if you have, say, you do have a running grocery list and your spouse also likes having, some input on groceries or has this app, you can collaborate on the same list. So if he's thinking of some items that you need from the grocery store and you're also thinking of it, you guys can add it together so that you're collaborating on the same grocery list. So whoever stops to get the groceries has the same list and you're all working from one thing. So that's something that's really cool as well. You can also add labels and, set reminders so it actually pops up a reminder if you want to do those things. There's lots of different things that you can do with this same app. And I just think it's super useful. And that is one that I definitely find myself using quite often. The fourth app that I use is called Clockify, and it's just Clockify. And Clockify is something that I use actually more for my business side of things, but I really wanted to mention it here because I think it can be useful in other ways, and I want to tell you about that. So, typically, the way that we use it, or not typically, always, the way that Clara and I use it in the business is we track our time, our work time. So, it's a free app that you can either do as an app or you can do it on your desktop. And it is super easy to just go in and create, either projects or things that you're working on. You just basically start your time clock and you are kind of punching in and then you punch out. What's really cool about this is that you can set up project boards. So we have it where we have our work time, we have time off, we have scheduled time. So we have these project boards and we just clock in with the right one and it tracks our time. And then we get a weekly report at the end of the week showing how much time we spent on the business. And this helps with planning and things like that. But because you can make different project boards, especially in the beginning, if you aren't sure where your time is going when you are first trying to figure out routines, or maybe you're stuck in a rut and you just don't know where your time is going, you could create an account and you can use the free version. We are still using the free version. But you can create an account and you can create projects. So maybe it is house projects that you create a project for. Maybe it is for, personal time. Maybe it is for cleaning time. Maybe it's for work time. All these different ways of tracking your time. And maybe it is even social media time and just tracking those things. And so you're really aware. And when you go into that time frame of the day, you just open your Clockify app, you select the project or the time that you're going to be working on it. You select that and you hit start, and that timer will begin counting down the time. And then when you're done, just hit stop and it will track your time. And then basically, you have this time card and a breakdown of where you have spent your time. So, what it is really cool about it is that if you have no idea where your time is going because everything seems busy, it's a really cool way of being able to get a good snapshot and a report of where your time is actually being spent. So then you can really assess that and make some changes that you think are useful and helpful to you. And then it will help your planning process moving forward. So those are my four really cool apps that I use that I think could be helpful. And maybe you don't think any of those are helpful. Maybe you think just one or two of them are helpful, but hopefully you are inspired to kind of try some things. And if they don't work, they don't work. But what if they do really work and you love them and it makes life easier and helps you stay more focused and reach some of those goals that you are working towards? And A little bonus here that is not an app, it's actually kind of anti-app. If you are feeling overwhelmed or stressed or anything like that, I have mentioned this before, but take a look at your social media usage or your screen time on your phone. It is absolutely insane how I feel when my screen time is up. And I don't even have to know that my screen time is up. I can tell now just by the way I feel. And before I would argue like, "Oh, I'm not on that much," or I had to be on because I was doing, XYZ. And that's just not the case. I get sucked into my phone so quickly and it passes time so fast that I don't even realize it. That I actually, for a long time, I was deleting the social media apps off my phone. Like they weren't on it at all. And then there were a couple times where I had to download it to check some messages that Tony had sent me because we share reels for like recipes and things like that. Sometimes he'll send me some things he thinks look good and all of that. So I downloaded it and then I never ended up deleting them again. And the last couple weeks, I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired and I just can't focus and I don't know what's wrong. I'm not getting things accomplished very well. And then I realized I'm like, I've had social media on my phone again. My screen time has skyrocketed and I just feel so blah. And I know that the increased screen time is what is contributing to that. So I am going to do this myself. I'm going to go delete them off of my phone again. And that is something that I would advise you to consider as well. Whether you delete them completely off your phone all the time, or you delete them on specific days of the week, or maybe on the weekend, or maybe you delete them every night and then you have to download them again. I know for me, for this iPhone, I can just re download the app and then it saves my login information. So it makes it super easy to log back in, but I have to take the extra step to go download it so that I can really think about whether or not I actually want to go on social media. For my Android, I think I had to just remember my username and password, which isn't a big deal, but it's just like that extra step, which is maybe a good thing too. But that is something that I think is huge, is to just get it off so that you're not tempted by it. And you will be shocked at how often, at least for me, if you're anything like me, you will be shocked at how often you go to grab your phone just out of boredom or just feeling the need to fill your time or your brain with something and then realizing that it's not there and having to kind of sit with that thought of, okay, well, what do I do to keep my brain active? Like, I numb out on my phone way too often than I would like to admit. So it is a struggle for me. So I have to get it deleted and get it off my phone so that I'm not being pulled back to that so often. So that is another little bonus thing, is the anti-app tip of getting those things that really pull your focus away that you struggle with. Get them off your phone. Don't even deal with them. A lot of it you can check on the computer anyway if you are less likely to stay on the computer than you are on your phone. And life goes on. We don't need a lot of these things that draw us in. So, a really quick recap on those 4 apps that can help you maintain the consistent habits and routines. Number 1 is color widgets. And again, that one is by Apps Inc. Number 2 is Day Stamp. It's all one word. Day Stamp Habit Tracker by H. Bull. Number 3 is Google Keep. And number 4 is Clockify. Hopefully, those can help you be super consistent and productive and get those habits and routines in place so you can actually accomplish the things that you're setting out to accomplish. And maybe we can tackle our goals together. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.